of Sacred by John Reynolds Gardner, illustrated by Mark Simmons. Today is chapter 8. The President. How do you go about meeting the President of the United States? Do you just call him up on the telephone? Hi, I'm Alan Brewster. I'm 9 years old and I was wondering if you're busy this afternoon, because if you're not, I would like to talk with you. What's about? Oh, well, you see, I want you to tell everyone that I'm a plant. It would never work. He'd think I was some kind of a nut. I couldn't tell the president why I wanted to see him until I was with him. But why would the president want to see me? The answer to my question came the next day when I saw the morning newspaper. There was a photograph of the president on the front page. He was standing underneath a large banner that had the letters SWS printed on it, and he was shaking hands with Peggy Applegate's father, Mr. Applegate. I remember my father mentioning an organization called SWS. That day, my picture appeared in the paper, so I read the whole article and found out that Mr. Applegate was head of the local chapter of SWS. SWS stood for organization called Stop World Starvation. They send food to kids living in poor countries, kids that don't have enough to eat. I read that the president has promised to help SWS in every way he could, although he never mentioned exactly what he was going to do. Well, I knew what to do. With my discovery, no one would ever have to go to hungry again. People could simply turn themselves into plants. I had a good reason to see the president. Now he had a good reason to see me. But would he want to see a 9-year-old kid? I decided to write him a letter. That way he wouldn't know how old I was, especially if I spelled all the letters right. After several attempts, this is the letter I came up with. Dear Mr. President, I read about you in an article in our local newspaper. It said you are interested in ending world starvation. Well, I have made a discovery that will enable you to do this. If you are interested, please let me know and I will tell you what it is. Thank you very much. Sincerely, Alan Brewster. Alan Brewster, researcher. I didn't feel it was wrong to call myself a researcher, not after all I'd been through. The newspaper had said that the president was staying at the Plaza Hotel in town, so when I heard my mom leave to the grocery shopping, I got dressed, got on my bicycle, and rode over there. I was afraid if my mom saw me, she'd think I was well enough to go back to school. But I couldn't. Not until I had proof for Miss Green. I gave my letter to the desk clerk at the Plaza Hotel, who promised to give it to the president. There was nothing to do then but wait. It had rained earlier that morning. By now, it was just kind of overcast. As I stood on the back porch, I found that I could not take my eyes off a mud puddle in Grandpa's garden. As if attracted by a giant magnet, I found myself walking toward the puddle, taking off my shoes and socks as I went. I smiled as I put one foot into the dark water. I felt the cold slippery mud ooze between my toes. I put my other foot in. I can't describe the feeling. It was as if I somehow belonged there in Grandpa's garden, like I never wanted to leave. I looked up and saw Grandpa staring at me. "I'm sorry, Grandpa," I said. "I'll get out of the garden right away." "Don't be ridiculous," replied Grandpa before I could move. "I've been saving a place for you, you know," I said, smiling again as I dug toes deeper into the mud. "Plants don't have such a bad life. They're outside, plenty of fresh air, no chores to do. They keep to themselves," added Grandpa. "Don't bother anybody. Wish I could say the same for people. It's just too bad they can't read," I said. "It would sure miss my encyclopedias." Just then my father appeared at the back door. He was home early from work. "What on earth are you doing?" he yelled at me. "Nothing," I answered, wondering what he meant. "Get out of the mud this minute. Wash up and come inside. There's someone who wants to see you." Someone to see me? I wondered if it could be the president. Grandpa sprayed my feet with the hose, then gave me an old t-shirt to dry off with. And as I was drying my feet, I felt some bumps on the bottom of my toes. I twisted my foot around and examined it. Just below the surface of the skin were some dark spots. They seemed to be pushing their way toward the surface. "Grandpa," I called out. "Come look at these." Grandpa examined the bottom of my toes. "Those aren't what I think they are they?" "They sure are," Grandpa was smiling. "You are sprouting roots, boy. What if I had stayed in the mud a little longer?" Would they? Wait a moment. Oh. Would they have taken hold? Could I have gotten away? Would I have to spend the rest of my life in the garden? Grandpa didn't answer me. He just began to chuckle. "Grandpa," I put on my shoes and socks as fast as I could and went into the house. There were 3 people waiting for me in the living room. The President of the United States was not one of them. There was my mom and dad, and a tall, overweight man smoking a cigarette, and he was introduced to me as Dr. Wendimer. "I'm a psychiatrist," said the man, smoke coming out of his nose and mouth as he talked. "Do you know what a psychiatrist is, Ellen?" "You shrink." "Ellen," said my mother, "I apologize." Dr. Wedemeyer smiled, keeping his lips tight so as to not show his teeth. "Your parents asked me to talk with you because they are worried about you. They say you're not eating. They say you give your food to the dog and the cat. Is that true?" "Yes." "All the time. I thought I had them fooled. I guess my folks are pretty smart after all." "Why don't you eat your meals?" asked Dr. Wedemeyer. "If I tell you, you won't believe me." Nobody believed me except Grandpa. Try me. The physiatrist, as he blew smoke out of the corner of his mouth. Okay, I said, I'm a plant. I believe you. You do? Yes, Alan, I believe that you think you are a plant. The man snuffled his cigarette out in the ashtray. What kind of plant are you? I don't know. I never thought about it before. Plants have roots, Alan. Do you have roots? Yes, baby ones. Show them to me. I took off my shoes and socks and showed Dr. Weddemeyer to the dark spots on the bottom of my toes. I also showed my mom and dad. Mom started to cry. Dr. Weddemeyer wrote something down in a small notebook. Your parents told me that you love banana splits, Alan. Right? They are my favorite. I said, I mean, they used to be before I became a plant. I have one in the kitchen right now. Would you like it, Alan? Thank you, but I just get sick. And anyway, I wouldn't be able to taste it. Why is that? I don't have any taste buds anymore. I stuck on my tongue and my mom started to cry again. Dr. Weddemeyer touched my tongue. He's right, he told my parents. It's as smooth as a whistle. The way things are going, I said I wouldn't be surprised if I sprouted leaves next spring and maybe some new limbs. Dr. Weddemeyer continued writing in his notebook. I noticed his lips moved. He looked up at me and cocked his head to the side. Why are you standing like that, Alan? Like what? And then I noticed that I was tilted in the direction on the table lamp. I was a little embarrassed. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. But plants do grow in the direction of the light, you know. Dr. Weddemeyer jotted down more notes. As I stood there watching him, I felt a sigh of relief. At last, I had been able to convince someone. I didn't need the president after all. The physiatrist put away his notebook and lit up another cigarette. This was his second in less than 15 minutes. You have a physical somatic illness, said, smiling again. His lips tight, he leaned back on the couch and crossed his legs. What does physical somatic mean? I asked. It means, Alan, that it's all in your mind. You believe you're a plant. You believe it so much that you begin to act like a plant. That explains your skin color, you are not eating, your roots, lack of taste buds, everything. You are a plant because you think you are a plant. It's all in your mind. I don't think I'm a plant, I insisted. I know I'm a plant. Stop it, said my father, coming over to me. You heard what Dr. Weddemeyer said. What does it take to convince you? Me? What does it take to convince you? Nothing will ever convince me. I don't care if you got the President of the United States to say you are a plant, I still wouldn't believe it. You are my son, and my son is not a plant. The doorbell rang. It was a man with a telegram. It's for you, Alan, said my mother with a funny look on her face, and she handed me the telegram. It's from the President of the United States. Bye.